Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing well. So for this week's video, we are talking all about ovulation, the big event of our menstrual cycle, and we're going to be really diving into the nitty-gritty details on what your ovulation can tell you really about your menstrual cycle health and your hormones. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you, I've actually just sat and tried to film a video on the topic of what your cycle can tell you, like about your hormones and like the symptoms we get around our period, all that great stuff. And I literally spent over 30 minutes just talking about ovulation. So I was like, I think this just needs to be a whole video on its own. So here we are. So the first place to start off is definitely knowing how to properly track your ovulation. And listen, most women think that they know when they ovulate, but actually come to find that they are not tracking correctly. And it's not until they do start tracking correctly, they're like, oh, okay, I've actually had this wrong the whole time. So my favorite way to track ovulation is definitely basal body temperature. This is the method I have done at this point for years, like probably about, God, it must be like 6 years, 7 years now at this point. And I love this method because it's really accurate to detect when you ovulate, because when you ovulate, your body temperature is going to increase and it's going to stay increased until you come on your period. So when you track your temperatures correctly on the chart, you will see your temperatures will be slightly lower during your follicular phase. So your follicular phase is day 1 of your period up until you ovulate. So they'll be slightly lower there. And then when you ovulate, you'll suddenly see a little bit of a jump up and then the temperatures stay elevated until you come on your period. So that is without a doubt my favorite way to track ovulation. Now, there is a few little things to know though about basal body temperature tracking. Now, number 1 is you really do need to be consistent with it. So you do need to take it at the same time every day. And that time of day needs to be as soon as you wake up in the morning. Eyes come open. Where's my thermometer? Get it and then do your temperature, okay? It can't be get up, go for a wee, come back, oh, let me do my temperature quickly. That's not gonna work. You're gonna have a 40 reading. And listen, this video isn't to go through all the ins and outs of basal body temperature tracking. So I will try and find some nice resources for you guys and I'll put them in the description box below if you wanna go a bit further on this topic, okay? Because there's loads of great videos out there on this. So moving on from there, once we know exactly the day that we have ovulated, then we can really start looking into the health of our cycle and really start to pull more information in terms of what can be going on hormonally. So we're going to start off with looking at having a short luteal phase. Now, your luteal phase is from your ovulation until you start your period, okay? That post-ovulation phase basically is called your luteal phase. And once you track when you've ovulated, then you can actually count how many days your luteal phase is. And that alone tells us so much information, because basically your luteal phase should be, I don't like to see it below 12 days personally. So I want to see it above 12 days, ideally get it to around that 14 days. If we can get it to 16, amazing, okay? But if it starts falling below 12 and we're into like 10 days, 9 days, 8 days in your luteal phase, that is going to tell me instantly that you have low progesterone. One of the roles of progesterone is to help thicken up that uterine lining, particularly from a fertility perspective, because if an egg does get fertilized, you want that egg to, nestle into that lining, and you need progesterone to support that lining to help with pregnancy outcomes, okay? So if the luteal phase is short, yes, it tells me that progesterone is low and that uterine lining is shedding quicker. Okay, so this is so important, particularly if anyone watching right now also is working on fertility and you're trying to fall pregnant. Like, this is such a big area to definitely focus on. But yeah, from a hormone perspective and what this is telling us, is it's telling us that progesterone's low. The other thing also to bear in mind from a symptom perspective is you may also find that, yes, you may experience symptoms of low progesterone, so I'll put them on the screen. But you may also notice you might even have some symptoms that can correlate with estrogen dominance, because progesterone and estrogen, we want them in balance, okay? And if progesterone's going to go low, that's going to pull it out of balance and it's going to make you more dominant in estrogen. It doesn't always necessarily mean that you have high estrogen, but it just means that estrogen is more dominant over progesterone, and that can also come with its own set of symptoms as well. Just from this one little thing, tracking in your cycle and knowing, when you ovulate and track your luteal phase, oh my gosh, it's like all that information just comes to light for us, and they are going to really give you the right direction pointers in terms of what you need to work on within your hormonal health. If anyone's wondering, well, can you have a long luteal phase? The answer will be no. Your luteal phase will go up to about 16 days max, and you will come on your period. If you don't come on your period, then you're pregnant. Okay, simple as, okay? So you will definitely come on your period if you are not pregnant. So the next two scenarios we can kind of talk about a little bit together, because they are quite similar in terms of like what we're thinking about in these scenarios. So the first one is delayed ovulation, and the second one is just missing your ovulation, so you're not ovulating at all. So let's start off with delayed ovulation. So if you are tracking your cycle properly now and you know exactly when you ovulate, what you will notice with delayed ovulation is you will have a really long follicular phase, and then you will come on your period. Like once you do eventually ovulate, you will come on your period within that, like I say, a 14, 16 day time frame. Now, everything we went through in the prior one about a short luteal phase, that also can apply to this case as well. So you may notice you also do have like a short luteal phase, very common, I must say, particularly when someone's having a delayed ovulation, because that means that, again, the ovaries are struggling to ovulate. So if they're struggling to ovulate, again, progesterone comes from ovulation. So typically there is going to be a weakness there with progesterone happening. So quite common to see short luteal phases as well when people have delayed ovulation. So you can apply all the information that we can gather from that there. Now, if your ovulation is delayed or if it's not happening at all, then the main question you need to be asking yourself and getting to the bottom of is, why does my body not feel safe to ovulate? That is really just the key question to get to the bottom of, because there is a reason why your ovulation is delayed or why it's not happening at all, okay? So in terms of like, well, what could some of those things be? Like, what could make the body not feel safe? Well, number one is undereating. That's definitely a common one when it comes to issues around ovulation. So making sure you're actually eating enough. Number two can actually be low carb diets, which is a really interesting one to throw in, because definitely in the PCOS space, which obviously this as a topic is huge because ovarian dysfunction is a big pillar in that. In the PCOS space, I have seen advice online around this where people have been like scared to touch carbs or told, you know, carbs are the enemy. They are not the enemy at all. Like, you need carbs to ovulate. So actually, if you are going for that approach of cutting them out completely, that could actually be fueling a bit more dysfunction when it comes to your ovarian health. When it comes to PCOS, my view on it is you need to work on more the metabolic side. You need to improve insulin sensitivity, improve your carbohydrate metabolism, improve your blood sugar control, and really work on that metabolic health, so that you are responding better to your carbs. It's not about, oh, I don't respond well with that right now, I just cut it out. It's like, no, fix the response, you know? That's what you need to do. Because the carbs are important, and missing them can be doing more harm than good. So low carb diets is definitely a common one. The next one to think about here is definitely stress. So cortisol can suppress ovulation. And listen, absolutely, mental stress can be a factor for sure. But when I say stress, particularly in the topic of ovarian function and ovulation and having issues here, I am thinking more internal stress, like those physical internal aspects. So things like, are there hidden issues in the gut, like gut imbalances, gut inflammation, hidden bacterial infections, immune dysregulation happening, metabolic issues like thyroid disorders, any level of like inflammation being provoked in the body. These are things that I want to dive into if someone is struggling to ovulate, because these can be huge factors into why someone's body is just switched off that function. So definitely lots to think about. I'll put everything else on the screen, but you really want to be asking yourself, like, why is my body not feeling safe? Why is this action just not happening as readily as it should be? And now to pull in and answer that question around, well, why would my progesterone be low? Like, we're talking about why is ovulation struggling, but like, why would progesterone be low? Well, progesterone can be low going back to poor ovarian health and poor like ovulation, basically. So that's the starting point. If you want to support your progesterone, improve your ovulation. It's as simple as that. So you're definitely thinking about, okay, I need to, again, all the things I just said, you need to make sure that you are in a safe environment internally. You need to address any underlying hidden imbalances or low grade like inflammation or anything else that's like causing dysfunction in the body. You need to support your ovaries with the nutrients and the things that it needs to actually ovulate and support these hormones. You also need to think about, like, yeah, the dietary factors as well. Like I mentioned about carbs, but you need fats, you need proteins. You know, hormones are actually made from cholesterol. So having really low fat diets is a really big issue because you haven't got the building blocks to make your hormones. So fat is important, but protein as well, another really equally important macronutrient for ovarian function. So making sure that you have a good balanced diet is a definite starting point there. There are some fantastic supplements you can support when it comes to ovarian health. I love inositol. That's one of my favorites. So actually, I think I've got it on the counter right here. Hold on. I'm actually taking this myself at the moment. Here, so this is the inositol I'm taking the one from New Roots at the moment, New Roots Herbal. But yeah, inositol is fantastic, such an easy thing to take. It's in powder form, so you can pop it in a bit of water in the morning, or you can just pop it into like a bit of yogurt or something, or a smoothie. Ideally as well with inositol, do it in divided doses, so do half in the morning, half in the evening, and that can really improve results as well with it. But I love that for ovarian health. And whenever I'm working with a client who is struggling with their ovulation, I mean, I think about this with every client I work with, but just to put an emphasis on it for video's sake, I always do make sure that their blood sugars are being supported and are stable, because if they are fluctuating, that directly will impact ovarian function. And also you can see high testosterone with these patterns as well. Again, it's not a one size fits all, but some women do experience symptoms of high androgens when this is happening, and high androgens can suppress ovulation. And a hormone I think is always worth checking with your GP is your prolactin, because really high prolactin levels can suppress ovulation in women. So I always like to get that tested as well to see what's happening with prolactin, because that can also really relate with that pituitary function, which again is the whole axis that is going to impact your ovarian function, because your pituitary gland, just to give a bit more science behind that, also is what releases your luteinizing hormone, so your LH, and that's what causes ovulation to happen, but also your FSH, which is the one that actually gets released prior, which is your follicular stimulating hormone. So your pituitary gland health is also really important to think about when we want healthy ovarian function and ovulation function. You know what I'm trying to say. So let me know if you found this video helpful. I do want to film the video on the other signs of your cycle, which can give you a lot of information with your hormonal health. And that was definitely the original idea of the video, but when, like I said, I got going and I started talking about ovulation, I thought actually this could definitely be a topic in itself. So I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more, if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. So do click that button and also hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. But yeah, just as a reminder, I do upload every Sunday. I'm really trying my best to stick to that at the moment. I aim for every Sunday at 10 a.m. Sometimes I might post a little bit later in the day, but I'm really trying to aim for every Sunday. That's my goal, and I have been pretty good at it, I feel like, for the last couple of weeks now. So I'm proud of myself. Hope you are well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.